All right, so the person's questions above, they were asking about, this measured move down here at 30,300. Like, it's not for sure, right? I mean, it could bounce sooner. It could potentially drop lower, right? And so they're trying to like nail these bounces. And so then the second question was, how to set an alert so you find out when RSI is oversold. Like the RSI here got down to 19. 19 is extremely oversold. You look at some of this price action back here, like that's on this level where we got this type of bounce, right? But this kind of rolled over. You kind of got a double bottom on the RSI, right? That was a pretty solid bounce. You go back here, we had this double bottom here where it got to these levels, and you got a pretty good reversal. You're gonna get RSI oversold signals. They don't always equate to the largest bounces, but what you will notice is sometimes you'll get like bullish divergence on a double bottom on the RSI. But you have to consider something like this where essentially double bottom and then it continues to roll over. Here, double bottom, but this one has bullish divergence. So this was a low and then lower low. This is low and then higher low. So you got a pretty significant bounce out of this, but not upside continuation, right? So you want to buy at support. And so you'll have to use your knowledge to understand, okay, 30,000 has been respected pretty well. Also, the lower trend line has been respected very well. So you might get some false signals, but what you do is you come down here to your oversold level, right? And you right click using Tradingview. And then you can add alert. Wherever you right clicked, whatever level, you go to add alert on the RSI, and then only once, and when it crosses, you'll get notified. I have it send emails to me, so if whatever I'm doing, I can get an email. So if I'm not at the house where my speakers are turned on really loud, and I'll be able to kind of assess, okay, what kind of oversold bounce is this? I mean, again, this potentially could be, I mean, there's a support level right there, right? You could get some type of, oversold bounce that comes up here. If you were to get this type of move where it comes back up here, right, and it creates a bearish retest, we talked about this earlier, that would give downside continuation ideas, right? So you don't necessarily want to just buy and just leave it and hold it and just here it is. Oversold bounces are just that, they're bounces, right? So this is not like buy and hold. But if you got some type of double bottom down here, especially like at this level, double bottom, bullish divergence, something like that. So oversold bounce is here, right? It's bouncing right now. And so the question is, will it come up here, get rejected, get a bearish retest, which is a sign for further downside, and then we get a drive down to 30,000 or potentially the lower trend line, 28,000, right? And so these are just things that you have to consider. But I just want to share ideas how you can, and you could do it. You want bullish crosses on the MACD. You can come down here and you could click on the MACD. You click it. There you go. Add alert to the MACD. You could get alerted on bullish MACD crosses whenever it crosses, right? You could get alerted on stochastic RSI crosses. You got to see how it turns into the hand, and you can click on it. You select it and then right click, and then you can add alert on your stochastic RSI crosses, right? And so bullish crosses of the stochastic RSI have been pretty good signals. So you're able to kind of set these alerts on signals that you would have to otherwise just sit and watch these charts. And so if you're working and you're busy like most people, this is a good solution and strategy that you can have going forward. A lot of this stuff that's happening on the 1 hour time frame is it's going to be smaller moves on these signals. And so potentially you want to define a strategy, let's say on the 4 hour time frame, where you're going to get less signals and they're going to mean bigger moves. So real quick, if you're looking at the 4 hour, right, and you can see this oversold bounce previously, May 19th. I mean, it equated from a move from 29,000 all the way up to $42,000 Bitcoin, right? And again, you didn't get an oversold bounce again until May the 23rd, 4 days later, right? So if you're not trying to be a day trader, perfectly normal, right, to not have to watch these charts all the time. So you're going to get bigger moves on the 4 hour time frame. So you got to move here from 30,000, almost 31,000, all the way up to 40,000, 300. Okay. And then here you've got oversold bounce from 31,000 up to 40,000. And again, remember, the thing is, like at this point, as soon as you see Bitcoin develop any range, as soon as you see, I mean, it really comes down to this. Buy at the bottom of the range, sell at the top of the range. Buy at the bottom of the range, sell at the top of the range. Buy at the bottom, sell at the top. This is a bull trap. It's called the bull trap for a reason, right? Not expected. And then you see it trapped all the bulls and they got sucked back down into the price action, right? This was an oversold bounce, but look, you're going to get false signals. Like this is oversold and it just rolls over. Oversold and it just rolls over. But the key is, like right here, you got a bullish stochastic cross. You've got bullish divergence on the RSI. So at least if you're setting, if you right click your RSI and you set anything to be alerted on oversold ideas, there's not a whole bunch of false signals on the 4-hour chart. You're going to have more, like if you go to a 5-minute chart over the course of a day, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, constant signals. Right, smaller moves. These are tiny bounces. These are tiny bounces, and these just keep rolling over. So you really want to find that sweet spot when you're considering an idea like this. Okay, so then if we look at the daily chart, like you just don't get very many signals at all. Like here was a signal oversold. I mean, it barely hit 30. Right, you got to move from 46,000 up to 59,000. Right, here you got to move from 28,000, and I mean potentially the top was 41,000. So I mean you got two signals in in 6 months, right? So this is probably not enough signals. Right? Understand the best time frame would probably be like a 4-hour is probably something that I would recommend. If you're trying to trade a lot and trade all the time, potentially shorter term time frames. But understand this real quick about price action. Like the bigger the drop, the more downside momentum. It's kind of like the bouncing ball theory, right? If you drop a ball, its first bounce is going to be the largest. And then it's going to roll over and not be quite as large, and then not as large. Okay. And so that's how price action works. Like if you have a move and it's a downtrend and it's downtrending like this is not necessarily going to bounce very hard. Okay. So when you get these bigger moves, that's when you get the big bounces.